Welcome back into
to
the Chris Mathis podcast. I'm your host, Chris Mathis, alongside my co-host, Spencer Mathis, for episode 7 of the Chris Mathis podcast. We got brand new camera equipment, brand new laptop, the whole 9 yards here. So we are ready to go and amped up to have you guys with us for a very busy show. Got a lot of great feedback via social media. Twitter is TCM_pod. Instagram, TCM_pod. Check out the YouTube, TCM_pod. Easy as that. The Chris Mathis podcast is on every streaming platform known to man, even some that nobody really know of yet. You know, there's got to be some platforms that we're mentioned on that aren't, I should say, first class quite yet, mainstream media, but you guys should hear from them here coming up in a couple of years. You never know. But we'll start off with our first segment, Am I Wrong? And for the 6th consecutive week, I was wrong as I selected the Atlanta Falcons to beat the New England Patriots at home on Thursday Night Football last week. And it's along the lines of I might as well just roll with the punches and hope that they get it right and hope that they win a football game. But every week that I've picked them, they've missed out. I think that's 2 straight weeks that I've picked them, and they've let me down all times. But worst comes to worst, I think it's kind of funny that, you know, I'm 0 for 6 right now on my hot takes. Am I happy about it? No, but I think it is funny. It actually makes good content for the pod. Number 2, the worst thing that comes out of it is that I lose another hot take and the Falcons lose a football game. So not much to lose there. It's kind of like a win-win either way. Yeah. Of course, I want to get one right. But Spencer's hot take last week, let me see my notes here. What was your hot take last week?
It was that Cam Newton was going to score 3 touchdowns, have 3 dabs on the field, 2 by air and 1 by sea. He had 189 passing yards, 46 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns, so I'm equating that to 3 dabs. I didn't say they were going to win in my hot take, so I was absolutely correct. Again, like usual.
Yeah, I think you're swinging 4 or 5 out of 6 weeks now that you've gotten right. Just recently, you had a mishap with your to-the-moon player of the week, but, I mean, that's not a hot take. I believe you did 2 weeks ago.
Who?
Oh, man, I'm going to blank. Don't put me on the spot like that. But let's talk about the big 3. The big 3 last week was the fact that we had 3 football games we wanted to talk about across the National Football League. This week, of course, the games continue to get more important. They get more difficult, more challenging to watch, and more challenging to have a winner come out of, but more importantly, more challenging to pick because most of these games are terrible across the National Football League for this week. However, there are 3 that stood out to us, and Spence lead us in with the first game selection of our big 3 for this week right here on the Chris Mathis podcast.
First game, Tampa Bay in Indianapolis for a Sunday 1 p.m. game. And I've got the Buccaneers in this game because I'm a homer. I don't honestly know who's going to win. This should be a close game, but Jonathan Taylor had 5 rushing touchdowns last week. Hopefully the Bucs get Vita Vea back this week. Honestly, have no clue who's going to win, but I'm going to pick the Bucs. I'm going to say Brady goes for 340, 3 touchdowns, an interception. Mike Evans goes for 2 touchdowns, and Fournette runs in 1. And the Bucs win 31-27.
Both teams are pretty good. Tampa Bay comes in as the road team, 7-3 overall. The Indianapolis Colts are 6-5 overall. Bucs are a 3-point favorite. I don't know how I feel about that line. I think that's pretty fair. I think that's fair if Tampa's playing their best ball. I think Indianapolis is a lot better than we thought. Even with the quarterback that has bad ankles, Carson Wentz at the helm, he has 18 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And 2,400 pass yards. You look at the other side of things.
He's the 5th quarterback in turnover-worthy plays, so he's very good.
As in 5th most?
5th least.
Oh, well, Tom Brady, number 1. Speaking of Tom Brady, Buccaneer quarterback, he's got over 3,000 pass yards, 29 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So looking here at the touchdown ratio, Carson Wentz doing a great job, a lot better than I thought. And after a couple of turnover-worthy plays in week 1 and 2 where he was in the back of the end zone, threw a pick 6, right there at the goal line, he's really stepped up his game and put the Indianapolis Colts on the map. And that Colts superfan, he's a Carson Wentz superfan on Twitter. Giovanni, the Carson Wentz fan, has to be loving the fact that his quarterback is kicking tail and the team that he's on is doing good as well. That's the first game of our big 3. I've got Tampa Bay squeaking one out. Vita Vea is back. He'll be able to help limit that Jonathan Taylor rushing attack. With that rushing attack, they're going to be able to to use that to their favor defensively, the Buccaneers, because the Colts will have to waste a lot of time here running the football, and they're going to have the clock against them. You expect Tom Brady to go touchdown for touchdown, field goal for field goal. I think they're going to have to score with Tampa Bay throughout the game.
Should be a slow shootout, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Leonard Fournette, he should have a pretty good game in terms of opportunity. Of course, you've got Jonathan Taylor, the workhorse there, has taken all reps from from Marlon Mack, USF boy, right there in Indianapolis, and he's earned them. He's played really, really well. I've got Tampa winning, I'll say 28-24. Tampa Bay prevails over the Colts. I think the Colts have one turnover, and I think it's an interception for, we'll say, Sean Murphy-Bunting.
Okay.
So that's the first game of our Big Three. The second game of our Big Three, Tennessee at New England. Talk more about that game, Spence, and talk about that breaking news that developed earlier this week regarding Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know why I just plugged.
Game.
Yeah, different game. Tennessee and New England. Talk about these two opponents and what this matchup has in store for us.
Yeah, Tennessee New England should be a good game for AFC champion, basically at a little bit over the halfway point of the season. In this game, it should be a healthy dose of the running backs going for both teams. Both teams really center their offense around running the football. But I'm going to give the edge to New England in this game. Mac Jones, a little bit more of a safer quarterback than Tannehill. They've got a better run game. Titans just cut Adrian Peterson, who was averaging only 3 yards a carry. I've got New England in this game because of Mac Jones' safe play, and their run game's very good, and their defense is stepping it up. I think they're 7-4 now. At one point, they were 2-4, so they're on a 5-game win streak. Tennessee just lost their last game, so I've got New England in this game by 4. I would say 4 points.
Yeah, Tennessee lost to what, Houston?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big loss, and I know that Tennessee is
faced.
Yeah,
that was my hot take. That's what it was.
Oh, from last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you got it right.
Yeah.
So we'll add that. We'll chop that up. We'll count that for Spence right here in the Chris Mathis.
2-0 last week.
Yeah, 2-0. So now you're probably 6-1 overall on the year.
Yeah.
Something like that. Tennessee, New England, talk about a great matchup here. You're looking at New England, a 6.5-point favorite at home. I like the Patriots' chances. I think that Ryan Tannehill is struggling. Have you seen his numbers? 13 pass touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
he's not having a good season at all.
That's something that I haven't heard much about, and I think that's because, for, 11 games, 9 of those 11 games, they've had Derrick Henry to be the workload, the lead back there in Tennessee, and really carry those teams or those Titans to victory. Now that he's gone, you're starting to see this team struggle a little bit. Of course, they lost to the Houston Texans last week, and Tannehill has just one more touchdown pass than he has interceptions on the year. Again, Mac Jones, a guy that you're high on. I think America's high on. Obviously, Bill Belichick is high on too. Rookie quarterback.
Yeah, we're all high.
We're all high. We're all high on Mac Jones, and he's probably going to have a great game once more as he did last week. That's game 2 of our Big Three for this week. We'll cap off the Big Three with the final matchup. Who do we got here, Spence, and why?
We got Green Bay versus the Rams in Lambeau Field, and I've got Green Bay coming out with the W in this game. I think the Rams, ever since they've signed OBJ, have just fallen off. They're done. I predicted they were going to lose 4 in a row. This would be their second straight, I believe. So I've got Green Bay in this game, even though Rodgers has a messed up pinky toe. I think that came from he got COVID. He got diagnosed with COVID, and then he was told he had to sit a week, so he went over there and he kicked the wall, and that hurt his foot. Now he's going to have to deal with that for the rest of the season. But a spur-of-the-moment angry decision by Aaron Rodgers, but he's still a beast, and I think Green Bay is going to win this game by a touchdown or more. Last week they played the Vikings, and Rodgers still had this injury, and he had a great game. Vikings have a very good defense, and I think the Rams' defense is up there, but I like the Vikings' defense more, and Green Bay just beat that, so I'm going to go Green Bay in this game.
Green Bay, a 1-point favorite. Here's a fun stat that I just realized. All-time series between these two teams, 47 and 47-2. So that's
no ties.
Yeah.
I don't want a tie.
No ties. I hope that – who would I want to win this game? I'm not sure who I want to win this game. I hate both teams.
Neither team.
But
you would want a tie if you're looking at playoff race because Green Bay's number 1 in NFC. Rams are probably number 2. Cardinals up there as well. Those are the top 3. Bucks are 4 right now. So either one would be bad.
Yeah, all right, let's hope for a tie then in terms of playoff race for NFC teams. But in terms of overall matchup record between the Green Bay Packers and the Rams, I hope that Green Bay wins to make it 48-47. What is it, Matt? Stat Padford? Stat Padford, according to Cole Wright. Having a great year, 24 pass touchdowns, 8 interceptions, really killing it. Now let's talk about the Thanksgiving games. We're transitioning with the big games. Obviously, a very happy holiday to all of you guys that are tuned in here on Turkey Day. But before we talk about the games, real quick, lightning question for you. Lightning fast response. Most overrated Thanksgiving food?
Pecan pie.
Okay. Pecan pie.
Too sweet.
All right, for me, I'm going with turkey.
Wow.
I think turkey's good, but I do think it is a little bit overrated.
Ham better than turkey? Ham?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say that.
What are you, a vegetarian?
I like steak and chicken. Steak and chicken. Okay, but talking about the Thanksgiving football games here that are taking place prime time all day long. We've got 3 different games. Chicago at Detroit. That's going to be a barn burner in which I think that Detroit could possibly pick up their first win of the year. And, obviously their head coach, Dan Campbell, wants a win. He needs a win bad. I saw an interview with him earlier this week, and he said that we play for these games, and he also said that he's surprised that the NFL is not, blackballing or blacklisting this game, and they're not going to move back the game for another game. So
yeah, I wish they would have.
It's going to be pretty brutal.
It's an awful game. It's an awful slate of games. Every single team that's playing in Thanksgiving Day games this year lost last week. They're 0-6 combined last week, and I think the best game out of these 3 is probably the Raiders versus Dallas. But if I'm going to have to pick Chicago and Detroit, I'm going to say Dan Campbell gets his first win against Chicago on Thanksgiving Day. I think he's going to be able to eat turkey legs and kneecaps, and they're going to win this game by a touchdown.
And probably some pecan pie as well. Detroit Lions, they are a 3-point underdog at home at 12:30 kickoff on Thanksgiving. So that'll be a decent game in terms of getting to watch Andy Dalton play against a terrible Detroit Lion defense. Maybe look for Andy Dalton to have a career day. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or Tim Boyle for the Lions. I think Goff's on the fence. I'm not sure if they've ruled Goff the starter. He's coming off an injury.
It doesn't matter who they have at quarterback. I mean, Goff sucks.
Tim Boyle had 2 picks last week, 15 of 23. I'm going to say the Lions squeak out a victory.
Jared Goff played a game that went into overtime. The time expired, and he had 86 total passing yards.
Well,
he sucks.
I sat on my couch and had nearly the same amount of passing yards.
Less.
Only 86 less. Yeah, that's terrible. Again, moving on with the Thanksgiving football games on Thursday. The Las Vegas Raiders play at Dallas in Jerry's World. Dallas has looked rough the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott has looked like he struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks too. But on the same token, Derek Carr and the Raiders are on the downfall too.
I've got Dallas in this game just based off of tradition. Vegas isn't usually playing in the Turkey Day games, and they're used to other things in Vegas, Sin City. So I think that the Cowboys are a little bit more wholesome than the Vegas Raiders, and they're gonna want to play for that turkey leg. I've got Ezekiel Elliott winning turkey leg game day, Thanksgiving Day MVP.
The Raiders have lost 3 straight games following a red-hot 5-2 start. Another fun fact for you guys that care about Thanksgiving stats, they are 3-4 overall on Thanksgiving. Their last win on Thanksgiving, 1968. So, in the AFL, wasn't even in the NFL. So, I like the chances here for Dallas. It would be cool to see Derek Carr get back on track. You know what?
Both quarterbacks are struggling.
Both quarterbacks struggle. I think Derek Carr gets it together. Last week, Deshaun Jackson didn't get a single target. In week 2, he left the Rams because he didn't get targeted. Went to the Raiders, didn't get a single look.
Yeah.
With Derek Carr, a team that just lost their best receiver, Henry Ruggs, a few weeks back. And they're not even throwing him the ball. So that says a lot about Deshaun Jackson, but he loves prime time. He loves the opportunity to showboat a little bit. I think Deshaun Jackson high steps into the end zone for a 55-plus touchdown this week. And they beat the Cowboys on the road on Thanksgiving. It'll be a pretty fun matchup to watch out for, but an even more fun matchup to watch out for. The New Orleans Saints host the Buffalo Bills. Bills have been utter disappointment this year. the last 4 weeks in particular. The Saints are without Alvin Kamara. They're without Jameis Winston. They're beat up, but the Bills have struggled as of late. They're coming off of a loss last week. Who is it that they felt? They lost to the Colts last week. Jonathan Taylor had 5 rushing touchdowns.
45 to 14, I believe.
Terrible
45-11.
Absolutely terrible game. I think that this is a game in which maybe the Saints crowd gets involved and gets real antsy and really works up their offense or builds up that defense's confidence because they need a victory more than ever. I said that last week too, and the Saints fell short last week against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts diced them up. He's having a great start to the year. Do the Saints beat the Buffalo Bills at home on Thanksgiving? Is there a shot here?
What did you choose?
Yeah. I got to go with the Bills.
I'm going to go with the Bills just based off of the fact that the Saints have the long-lost Manning brother as their quarterback. Just no talent in Trevor Siemian. He's absolutely awful. The Bills are going to have a bounce-back game. I think if this game was being played on Halloween Day, the Saints crowd would make a difference, but all the freaks aren't going to be dressed up this year. They'll just be in their normal attire and eating turkey legs. So I don't think they're going to be a big factor. The fans are probably going to fall asleep at halftime after eating the turkey. So I've got Buffalo in this game. It's a night game. Trevor Siemian, I don't know if he can see well in the dark, even though it's in a dome. I've got Josh Allen in this game. Stephon Diggs has 2 touchdowns as well.
Stephon Diggs picked it up a few weeks back and really took targets away from my fantasy receiver, Cole Beasley. The week that I picked him as my to-the-moon player pickup of the week, you see Stephon Diggs pick it up, have his best game of the year. The Saints are a 6-point underdog. I think that's fair and square. I still think the Bills haven't played their best football yet.
I think if the Saints had Jameis Winston, I'd go with the Saints in this game because they were good whenever they had Jameis. Ever since he's went down, it's been Trevor Siemian. And it obviously shows they really don't care about Taysom Hill if he's not the starter.
He's not the starter, but great transition there, Spence. I think that ESPN or iHeartRadio would pay you big bucks there as that leads us into our next segment. Taysom Hill's contract. Unreal numbers there for a guy that's maybe started 6 games at quarterback in his NFL career. He signed a hybrid, quote-unquote hybrid-type contract extension according to Adam Schefter earlier this week. It's a deal that's worth anywhere between $40 million and $95 million, depending on the position that he plays.
$95 million if he wins every MVP for the rest of the NFL's history. It's a fake contract.
Yeah, I wish. I'm sure that the Saints will say that in about a year. Taysom Hill loves every bit of this, but a potential of $95 million contract here for Taysom Hill, a guy that is 31 years old, doesn't have the best arm by any means. He's a great utility weapon, but obviously they didn't like him better than Jameis Winston, who's coming off of a terrible year 2 years ago with the Bucs. He threw 30 for 30, comes to the Saints, sits behind Drew Brees for a year. There's quarterback controversy between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. That was all talk from the outside media. Come to find out, Jameis Winston was the guy from the get-go there in New Orleans, and Sean Payton knew that all the way, knew that from start to finish. And then they paid this guy $45 million over the next, I think it was a 4-year.
I think it's honestly just a way to clear cap space to sign more players next season. It's probably how his other contract was, where it was all voidable. Or it's either that or they're money laundering money to the Catholic Church that they had allegations with last season. So it's either one of those two because the Saints are a shady franchise, a shady team, and they have a shitty fan base.
I think you could flip the coin either way on option 1 or option 2 there. But, I mean, when you look at Taysom Hill's numbers, 4 pass touchdowns in his career, 4 interceptions in his career.
It's pretty good, man.
1,100 yards.
That's a $90 million quarterback.
That's unreal. There is some collusion going on there. The Mancuso family, I know that you guys are tuned in right now. There is collusion, and if you disagree with that, please call me. You know where to reach me. But there's definitely some collusion there with Taysom Hill, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, who's sitting behind Trevor Siemian, who's sat behind Jameis Winston until he got hurt. But I think the contract talk this week was big, and for good reason, too. Several big contracts, whether or not they deserved it. Taysom Hill obviously did not deserve that huge contract there with New Orleans, but one guy that did deserve a contract, and it was a good signing early on in his career, early on in his tenure with the Tampa Bay Rays, was 20-year-old Wander, truly a wonder to this world. People wonder how great he is. His name's Wander Franco, and he's phenomenal for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's not even 21 years old yet, 20 years old. He got signed to a huge extension, was up for, did he get Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year for the Tampa Bay.
Rosarina got it.
Okay. But either way, Wander Franco is an absolute beast, and he's going to have a great career. He signed a 12-year deal with the Rays with a maximum of a $233 million figure, which, if you're looking here in 4 or 5 years, that probably would have doubled easy.
Yeah, it was a great contract for the Rays. Honestly, a good contract for Wander, but if we didn't reach out to him and sign him, I think in 4 years he's playing for the Yankees. So this is a big contract for the Rays, probably our biggest signing in franchise history. Hopefully we don't go to Montreal. No one likes Canadians. They're too nice. I just don't want to see a complete MLB franchise in Canada besides Toronto Blue Jays. And everyone knows how Toronto always ends up. They're out of the playoffs every year. Last good season was Joey Bautista. They're wasting Vladimir Guerrero's prime. They're just a bad team.
They're a bad team.
That's what Canada does to baseball.
You say
it's
that
America's pastime, not Canada's pastime.
You say that
stick to hockey.
You say that you don't want Wander Franco to play for the New York Yankees. Thankfully, we locked him up.
I don't want anyone to play for the Yankees.
Not even field a team, but I was just about to joke with you that it's okay, you don't have to worry about the Yankees because he will be playing in Montreal after the 2027 season. So, as of now, that's what it's looking like for the Rays baseball team. But Franco's deal is worth guaranteed $185 million.
Yeah,
20 years old.
He's very good.
20 years old.
It's good to sign him now. This is a lot like the Acuna contract for the Braves last year. I think might have been sometime this season before he tore his ACL. I think it's a good signing for the Rays. We don't have to lose him now, and we have a good future because we have the best farm system in the entire MLB for 10 years going.
I mean, you talk about how great of a deal it was for both sides. A 20-year-old gets paid big-time money. An injury, and he wouldn't have got that next contract if he would have waited 5 years. But with this contract, he's pretty much guaranteed, and by the time he's done with this contract, he's going to be, 33 years old? So roughly the same age as Atlanta Brave Freddie Freeman, who's about to get another huge contract.
With a different team, he's out of Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Fans.
Oh, yeah. But the numbers that he's looking at, he signed an 8-year deal a while back, Freddie Freeman, $135 million contract. It's going to be, what would be your guess for Freddie Freeman's contract? Probably 160?
I would say less by a good amount. Maybe almost half less because he's so old.
Okay, but probably half the time in terms of...
I'd say like 140 for like 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh, that's not bad.
But baseball players can play till they're 40, so...
That's not a bad deal at all. Not a bad deal at all. But Wander Franco is going to be a phenomenal player there for Tampa Bay Rays. Really in St. Pete as of now at the Tropicana Field. And it feels good to be a Rays fan and have our organization actually pay a guy. I was joking around with Trent earlier this week and said, now we can actually buy this guy's jersey and know that he's going to be the future.
Yeah, you don't see that often. Hopefully Rosarena's next. Glasnow's gone after this season. So
I had to settle with a Rays jersey that had the number 98 for the year I was born and my last name on the back, so I don't have to worry about that this time around. A friend of the pod that will be joining the pod, I would say within the next month or so, just played his last college football game. Quarterback Joseph Mancuso at University of Richmond had a phenomenal career. Good buddies with him. Went to school with him back in high school and have kept in touch with him over the years. He's excited to be a part of the Chris Mathis podcast, star on our show a couple of times. He said on Saturday, not just once, multiple times. So, Joe, I'm holding you accountable for that. But
not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 titles.
8 times, yeah, quoting LeBron James right there with Joseph Mancuso. 11. So Joe Mancuso finished 5th all-time with over 7,000 passing or total yards of offense at University of Richmond. 6th all-time with 5,696 passing yards, over 1,500 rushing yards in his career, 59 total touchdowns, 40 through the year, 19 on the ground. That's Joseph Mancuso, a guy that you guys need to get familiar with. I'm not surprised if he plays at the next level, and don't be surprised when he's on the podcast here in the next, I would venture to say 6 weeks. We're trying to finagle as he tries to get his NFL agent, trying to work things out and see if we can fix in a time frame in which we don't have to worry about us impacting his draft status with the NFL.
Yeah. He'll be described as sneaky athletic going into the draft. They'll see him running around and he'll be drafted. Just wait.
That would be huge.
Yeah.
Because that's similar to Tom Brady. And he even admitted last week that Tom Brady is the greatest to play the game of football. Rookie of the week, several guys to talk about from across all sports platforms this year, across the country. But the guy that stood out to me was the guy on a terrible team. He's a Jets wide receiver. That's New York Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore, second rounder out of Ole Miss. Had 8 catches, 141 yards, a touchdown catch. And then just to add the cherry on top for the Jets, Elijah Moore, he had a 15-yard run as well on an end around. 2 big games for Elijah Moore over the last 3 weeks. He is my Rookie of the Week right here on the podcast. And the numbers show it. He's on a terrible team with a terrible quarterback. I hate to admit it, but no matter what quarterback plays there with the New York Jets, whether that's Mike White, White Lightning, or he's hurt right now.
Josh
Johnson, I like him a lot, but he's not very good. And
the toddler that they drafted.
Yeah, who did they
round.
just? Yeah,
Zach Wilson.
Either way, he's got a terrible quarterback room there with the Jets, but he's putting up big numbers. Elijah Wilson of the New York Jets is my Rookie of the Week.
So my Rookie of the Week has already been chosen before, and I got Micah Parsons. Another time he's been Rookie of the Week where he's lost the game. He had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble on Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's a linebacker, but he is amazing on the edge. I mean, his film is great. I hope Joe Tryon can turn into half of what he is at this moment, because Micah Parsons, if he was a defensive end, would probably be averaging 15 sacks a season in this NFL with his speed and his power. So my pick of the week for Rookie of the Week was Micah Parsons from Dallas.
Micah Parsons, a phenomenal player. He wasn't the guy I selected a few weeks ago, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever they lost as well.
Yeah, that's right. And you said, and I quote, I guess I don't know fucking football.
Yeah, you don't.
So, Rookie of the Week named there right here on the Chris Mathis podcast. Player of the Week. This is one in which several different guys were good options across the NFL in particular, but this is one that can be chosen from the NBA. I picked Steph Curry last week. This week for me, it was the obvious, and if you guys watched that game last week, the quarterback for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, went off, and he's a guy that I've liked for the last couple of years. He was the guy that you wanted Tampa Bay to get in the draft.
If we didn't get Brady.
You were big on that, and, looking back at it, I don't regret not getting Justin Herbert, but I do like Herbert a lot. He had a huge game last week on primetime against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 382 pass yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he had an interception, but that's whatever. He was dicing up that Steeler defense. And then on top of that, nearly 100 yards on the ground, 90 yards rushing for Justin Herbert. Phenomenal player there. He is my player of the week, Chargers quarterback, and I have invested in some of his rookie cards by Panini. Some of those cards go for $130. Very good.
I think he should be nicknamed Sonic the Hedgehog because he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. My player of the week was Jonathan Taylor. He had 200 total yards, 5 touchdowns. They absolutely walloped the Bills. They got hit so hard they're going to be falling asleep at halftime against the Saints on Thanksgiving, but they're going to wake up in the third quarter and win the game against New Orleans because of the ass whooping they just got handed to them by the Colts, and Jonathan Taylor rushing for 5 touchdowns. I mean, Taylor's a very good running back, and I think he deserves to be player of the week with 5 touchdowns and over 200 yards.
Jonathan Taylor had a phenomenal week, as you just said, Spence. I'll reiterate, there were several options across the NFL. Hopefully Jonathan Taylor does not go off this week against our Buccaneers.
He won't.
I think he'll still get his own.
If you have him on your fantasy team, sit him this week.
That's I don't know.
Sit him.
I say he gets a hundo.
Nope.
Hundo, a touchdown.
No.
He's going to do his thing. The Colts will lose, but yeah, I think so. This is where you're wrong. One guy that was a very viable option, honorable mention for our player of the week was Austin Eckler. Had a phenomenal game for the Chargers as well. He had 50 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then had 65 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. So he was trying. What he did was on the bench in that game, he looked up at the ticker across the stadium and saw that Jonathan Taylor was balling out. He said, I want to ball out. Give me the rock. He scores 2 on the ground, 2 through the air, and was just a touchdown shy of tying up Jonathan Taylor's touchdown cap of 5 last weekend. our favorite segment and one that's picked up a lot of traction for good reason. Even our grandma bought some Drippin' Ice merch the other day. She bought a crew neck, said that she loves the product, made in the USA. It's our Shankarooski segment presented by this is our Shankarooski segment presented by Drippin' Ice, and a phenomenal website. They just released a couple of hoodies a few weeks back. They still have a few in stock that you guys need to check out. Limited edition Lucky 7 cone hoodie right there on thedrippinice.com. The Drippin' Ice never misses, but one thing that does miss, NFL kickers. A total of 19 missed kicks over this past week. 10 missed field goals, 9 missed PATs, and without question, our Drippin' Ice Shankarooski kicker of the week is Jets' Matt Amendola. Missed 2 field goals from 40 yards out. That's pretty doable in the NFL. A field goal from the 55-yard out marker, and he's had 4 misses over the last 5 weeks. Talking about Jets kicker Matt Amendola, not bad for a rookie. Cool stat. He is terrible, but he's getting an award here. Mad props to Matt Amendola. But one cool stat is that his kicking percentage, guess it. If you can guess his percentage right now, $5.
74%.
Man, you of all people, 69%. Matt Amendola, 69% field goal success rating. Him and Gronkowski would love to bond. Well, they would probably joke around a little bit about that being their favorite number. Tom Brady jokes about that number too. But Matt Amendola is our Shankarooski kicker of the week. And for my to-the-moon pickup player of the week that you guys need to either, well, I guess trade deadline's over. A guy that you guys need to start or a guy that you guys need to move up in your lineup. To-the-moon fantasy football player of the week is my rookie of the week. It just coincides this week. It's Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore, who had a big-time game. He has a big-time cakewalk this week against Houston, the number 21 ranked defense, the Houston Texans. He led the Jets in targets last week with 11 targets and brought in 11 of those targets for 141 yards, Spence, a touchdown. He has scored 4 times in the last 3 games and has had big games in 2 out of the last 3 weeks. He has had a touchdown in several of his last 3 or 4 games and 7 catches for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns just 3 weeks ago. So Elijah Moore of the New York Jets is my pickup player of the week. I think he's a guy that somebody in our league dropped a while back. I saw the advantage. I took advantage of it. I saw the opportunity and picked up Elijah Moore this week. I am starting him in our fantasy football league, and for good reason, too. Great performances over the last 3 or 4 weeks for Elijah Moore of the New York Jets.
Yeah, I've got an obvious pick in Mark Ingram this week. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's had 20.8 points and 14 points, and that's one of those games was behind Kamara, so now he's the key back this week against Buffalo, who's struggling. I've got Mark Ingram in this game going for 2 touchdowns, 80-something rushing yards because Trevor Siemian sucks and they're going to have to run the ball a lot. So I've got Mark Ingram. He's old, washed up, but he's played good as of recent. He's better than Adrian Peterson, obviously. So I've got Mark Ingram. I'd go ahead and pick him up. He plays today in this Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson out. He's out of the NFL right now. The Titans cut him. And you talk about Mark Ingram. He saved me a few weeks ago, had a touchdown. I think 50 yards, the game that he became the Saints' all-time leading rusher. So a homecoming, if you will, for Mark Ingram, who continues to put up big numbers. Now I can tell that somebody walked in the house, and it's getting warm in here. Somebody turned up the temperature. I know it's getting cold outside, but in this room that we're recording the podcast, it is warming up. And with that, it's time to mention our hot take. Again, I'm 0 for 6. I mentioned that I was wrong earlier. 0 for 6 with my hot take. I think at this point, with the fact that I've missed out on this prediction the last 2 weeks, I think I have to keep swinging for the fences with this team. I think that the Atlanta Falcons, the underdog, a 1-point underdog against Urban Meyer, a rookie quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, the Falcons are a 1-point underdog on the road in Jacksonville this week. I think it's a stretch. I know the Falcons are terrible, but 1-point underdog. Therefore, Atlanta wins this football game on the road. Now, obviously, they're struggling right now, but this is a game where I think that they proved that I know football. They proved that all of you doubters know that, I had a rough stretch, but it was all bad luck. No knowledge was involved. It was just all bad luck. The teams were up against me. The Atlanta Falcons will go on the road this week to Jacksonville and beat up on the Jaguars. Jaguars 2-8, Falcons 4-6. Last place NFC South, last place AFC South. Matt Ryan, I had to just take a a double take there at his numbers. 15 pass touchdowns, 10 picks this year for Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
The slander continues. But he wins this week, and I think he goes off. I say 4 touchdowns, 325-plus yards for Matt Ryan. No matter who's out there, no matter if Calvin Ridley is still on his leave of absence or if he's back in this game. The Falcons win, and I pick up my first hot take prediction of the week, and we'll talk about it right here on the Chris Mathis podcast next week on the Am I... Well, no, we won't have to talk about it in the Am I Wrong segment because I'm not going to be wrong. The Falcons will win against the Jaguars this week in Jacksonville.
Yeah, the Falcons' offense has been absolutely red hot as of late. They've only been outscored 65-3 in their last 2 games. Matt Ryan, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, having a hell of a season. He is probably top 150 right now in MVP voting. Matty Ice is going to be doing some kind of dance on the sidelines after they lose to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Hopefully Urban Meyer gives him a handshake after the game. Maybe that'll get him going this season. I mean, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions is no bueno. And their offense has struggled in the red zone for the past 3 seasons, and I believe it's Matt Ryan's fault. But my hot take this week is that the Detroit Lions will defeat the Chicago Bears today on Thanksgiving by a score of 27-21. And it's a battle of the awful quarterbacks. So far, Jared Goff, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, averaging 230 yards a game. And then if Justin Fields is a go, he has 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he's averaging 136 passing yards a game. So an awful game on Thanksgiving, but it's tradition to watch the Lions lose on Thanksgiving. But today they're going to turn it around, and the Lions will defeat the Bears by 5. Big game.
I wrote it down, 27-21.
By 6. Big game.
Yeah, by 6. 27-21 is what you said. The Lions will win, pick up their first win of the Dan Campbell era. And he's going to be excited because they could have chopped this game down and pushed this off, put it, black it out, whatever it is. But instead, they're going to let them play here today on Thanksgiving. I feel bad for all of you guys, but fortunately, the NFL thought about this in terms of, hey, let's keep the tradition going of having the Detroit Lions on Thursday night football or Thursday day football on Thanksgiving because they know that Americans across the country will be eating comfort foods. They'll be eating turkey. You guys are going to be eating pie. You could care less about the Lions.
Yeah, that's the 12:30 game. I mean, that's the game that no one cares about. Everyone's going to be falling asleep.
Grandma's walking in the front door at that time.
Yep.
You might have it on the background.
Yeah.
But you're not really.
No one's going to be watching that game. I mean, the Bears suck. Matt Nagy sucks. The Lions suck. Dan Campbell sucks. I'm only giving Dan Campbell the advantage here because he has taught his team how to bite kneecaps off. And as of recent, they've done that. I mean, they tied the Steelers, who had Mason Rudolph at quarterback. So they've got a chance against the awful Chicago Bears. Easy enough.
And I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to see if Detroit can pick up a win. And I think that the fans deserve it. They've been through, the laundromat. They've gone up and down, up. Well, really down.
They deserved it though. They wasted Matthew Stafford's career. They wasted Barry Sanders' career, and they wasted Calvin Johnson's career.
Just about to say that.
The Lions are a shitty franchise, and I hope they win though this Thursday because they've lost every game on Thanksgiving that I can remember from my childhood.
Hear that? You hear a bus? Because talk too much. Well, I guess we did talk about the Raiders-Cowboys game on Thursday. So we'll hop right into Sunday's games, starting off with the Atlanta Falcons at Jacksonville Jaguars. I've got the Falcons winning in this game on the road against Jacksonville. Spence, what was your official determination there? The Falcons now a 2-point underdog. The spread has changed.
2-point underdog
Something just
to the
happened.
Jaguars?
Oh, yeah. It was just 1.
Yikes. Yeah, I've got Jacksonville in this game. I mean, Atlanta has 3 points in the last 2 weeks. Offense sucks. Defense sucks. They were in it. They were 4-4. They had a chance. Carolina took their place very quickly. They
were still in the wild card hunt in the NFC South, and that's over. That's tarnished. And again, I'm going to continue to pick the Falcons as my hot take until they get it right and pick up a win.
I'm still shocked that they have 4 wins, honestly.
They're pretty bad. And the Pews, Todd's texting me right now. I know it. I know he's sending out a couple of texts.
They'll agree. They know.
The Houston Texans host the New York Jets at 1 o'clock. Jets are a 2.5-point underdog. Texans come off a huge win against the Titans. Was that a fluke? Will the Jets win on the road? With what I've said about Elijah Moore being my pickup player of the week, he has to go off. I think the Jets win, and they win by 6 against the Texans on the road in this one. The Jets pick up a win, just their 3rd win of the year.
I've got Tyrod Taylor and Houston Texans winning this game. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is the most unlucky quarterback of all time.
Punctured
he
lung.
He took the Bills to the playoffs. He got his lung punctured by a needle, and it wasn't even for the good stuff. So it really wasn't worth it for him. Now he's the starting quarterback of the Houston Texans. And I saw him somersault into the end zone last week to basically seal the game against Tennessee. And the Jets are an awful team. I think Houston's a terrible franchise. It's a game that no one's going to watch. I wouldn't even want to watch it if I was paid money to watch it. But I've got Houston in this game. Tyrod Taylor, the unlucky man. He should switch his number to 7, maybe get a little bit of luck here. But I've got the Jets losing in this game against the Texans by 7.
Danny Pennies and the New York Giants come off a blowout loss last week to Tampa Bay. And the Giants will host the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Devontae Smith comes into New York. Jalen Hurts does as well. Hurts is on a roll right now, and they are a 3.5-point favorite over the Giants. I think they murder that spread. I think that the Eagles win by 14 convincingly on the road. I do understand they're on the road. The Giants just fired Jason Garrett, their offensive coordinator. While that does bode well for the future, the week after, they're going to have to relearn probably some play calls, relearn maybe even a different playbook, because the way that Jason Garrett ran that offense was a shit show. I mean, he had 3 different receivers come across the middle in flat routes, drag routes, run into each other, bunched up against a subpar Buccaneers secondary.
Yeah.
And they looked awful. Jason Garrett's out. The Giants have to recuperate and regroup this week at home. They won't do it. The Eagles win by 14. What's your take?
I mean, the Clapper's finally out of New York. Next is Saquon Barkley, a waste of a first-round pick. But I've got the Eagles in this game as well. The Eagles are in the middle of the playoff race right now. If the Saints lose and the Eagles win, they're the 6th seed in the NFL in the NFC playoff race. So I've got Philadelphia in this game. Hurts has stepped up his play. Devontae Smith, a very good receiver. The Giants, a very bad team. So I've got the Eagles in this game probably by 10 points. It should be a decent game, but I've got Jalen Hurts just off his ability to run. It's very good. He's a very good runner. That's what I'll say.
He is, and I saw stats that compared him through his first X number of games to Lamar Jackson's first X number of games, and Jalen Hurts off to a better start.
Yeah, he's
a worse situation.
He's finally playing like how he did at Alabama.
Yeah, a worse situation too than Lamar Jackson has ever had. So shout out to Jalen Hurts. I know I've been really hard on him right here on the Chris Mathis podcast, and he's proven me wrong. Now, one big matchup that all football fans might enjoy even more than one of the Thursday Thanksgiving games, AFC North Battle between 2 big-time rivals. The Pittsburgh Steelers will play in Cincinnati against the Bengals. Steelers look to pick up their 6th win of the year. The Bengals hope to pick up their 7th. And Joe Burrow, not having a bad year, but he struggled the last couple of weeks. Looking here at the spread, the Bengals are a 4.5-point favorite at home. Yeah, that's fair. The Bengals need it. Joe Mixon had a good week last week. Steelers, I'm still not sold on Big Ben and what his arm's capable of, even after he had, a week's worth of film watching at home on the couch. His family was out of the house, the whole 9 yards. I'm just not big on Big Ben. You like to play on words there, but, I don't know. I don't like Big Ben in this game. I think that Joe Burrow shows out and dominates here at home.
Yeah, the Steelers' defense is an absolute letdown. They don't have T.J. Watt right now. I've got the Bengals in this game, even like you said, after Roethlisberger threw 3 touchdowns after all the film he got to watch a week ago during his COVID stint. But I've got the Bengals in this game by 10+. I mean, the Steelers played last week a pretty close game, only because of their special teams. So I've got Cincinnati winning this game by 10.
The Miami Dolphins are hosting the Carolina Panthers this Sunday, our last 1 o'clock slated game. The Panthers are a 2-point favorite. Cam Newton has those guys believing, although they lost last week, and a tough loss against the Washington football team. You said it earlier, Cam Newton dominated. He looks like he's the guy. He looks like he's revamped. I'm not going to say the 2015 MVP Cam Newton that we saw a few years ago, but I am going to say that he looks solid again. Steven Piero bought some tickets for that game last week, says that they seem legit, and they're obviously still in the hunt for the playoffs. I think they're They're third. They're third in the NFC South. I think they jump the Saints at some point this year and take second. But the Dolphins third in the AFC East. Pretty decent matchup here. Tua Tagovailoa is not going to have a good game. I think Brian Burns kills Tua and the Dolphins. I think they're Dolphin hunters, unfortunately, this week. We love Dolphins, but we hate the Miami Dolphins in this one. I think the Panthers win by 7.
Yeah, I think the Panthers are going to treat the Dolphins like SeaWorld treats their Dolphins. So I've got the Panthers in this game as well, just based off of the fact that Tua seems immobile as a quarterback, even though he's supposed to be able to run. His left-handedness, the reason he's going to hell is the reason why he's just not a great quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, the last week he had a pretty good game, but he was playing a very bad team. Panthers are a much better defense. So I've got Carolina in this game winning by 10+ with Cam Newton going for 3 touchdowns.
I can't say I've seen a quarterback not take shots like Tua does. And I get that Mac Jones doesn't take shots, but he does when they're given to him. Tua doesn't even unload a deep ball when it's there. He checks down. He works in the flats, out routes, which I hate the out route. You do too, but Tua is not a great quarterback. The Chargers hit the road to take on the Broncos in this AFC battle. Chargers are a 2.5-point favorite, our first 4 o'clock game of Sunday. Chargers come off a huge win last week. Broncos trying to break that 500 mark. Teddy Two Gloves is playing in this one. He's had a decent year, 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. Teddy Bridgewater. But the Chargers come in, play spoiler. Not that there was much to play for the Broncos other than pride. But I think Justin Herbert, no. Denver does have a great secondary.
Yeah, they're 5-5. They're in it.
Yeah, they are in it. Maybe Denver pulls off an upset in this one at home.
I wouldn't even call it an upset, though, because the Chargers have really struggled as of late, and that all went away whenever they beat a bad Steelers team. So I've got the Broncos in this game. I think Herbert should have a good game, but he's going to throw 1 or 2 interceptions. Patrick Surtain Jr. is a very good cornerback for the Broncos. They've got a couple other secondary pieces in Justin Simmons. So I've got the Broncos in this game. Bradley Chubb is back this season. He's not having a great season, but he's out there. I think the Broncos are going to win this game by 5 against the Chargers in a close game, and that's a game that I will want to watch this week. Teddy Two Gloves having a pretty good season, wearing 2 gloves all the time for absolutely no reason. His 5 interceptions that he's thrown really came in like a 2-game stint. So other than those 2 games, he's had a great season, and that's why they're 5-5.
Oh, without question. The Saints even tried to trade or reach out regarding Teddy earlier this year. So that tells
if the Saints had Teddy Two Gloves right now, they'd have 6-7 wins.
They'd be right there with Tampa. Not that they haven't already beaten Tampa, because they did.
Yeah.
Per usual in the regular season, but we do strike back when it matters most. Now, a game that I'm intrigued about, the Vikings hit the road to take on the 49ers. Both teams 5-5. The quarterback that has a shot to break Tom Brady's touchdown to interception ratio in a single season, Kirk Cousins, 21 pass touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year, 106 rating. He is slept on. And I'm sorry, I don't think I'll ever take Jimmy G to win a football game unless he's playing against an absolutely terrible team like the Lions. So I've got to go the Vikings win on the road against San Francisco and Santa Clara this week. Although the 49ers are a 3-point favorite, I'm just not sold on Jimmy G, and I hate the 49ers. Simple as that.
Yeah, the 49ers are a good team when they can run the ball. I think Garoppolo's good in a situation where he doesn't have to do very much. He's kind of like Ryan Tannehill without the mobility, basically. I'm going to have to go with Minnesota in this game as well. I think the Vikings defense is very good, but Everson Griffin is having some problems right now. He's definitely not going to play this week. So I still have the Vikings in this game. I think Harrison Smith is one of the best safeties in the league. He's one of the smartest players. They've got Kendricks at linebacker, Anthony Barr. I mean, they've got a pretty good defense that they've had, it seems, for the past 7 years. All three or four of those players have been there. So I've got the Vikings in this game versus the San Francisco 49ers. Even though Deebo Samuel's a very good receiver/running back now, I've got Kirk Cousins in the Vikings defense taking this one by 7.
You just mentioned something about Everson Griffin, defensive end for the Vikings. I got to tell everybody that hasn't kept up with the news as of late. He texted his agent at 2:06 a.m. the other night. "They can't find me," Pico said. "They thank you for everything, Murph Daddy." Then an hour later says, "I need help. Better call 911. People are trying to kill me. Hello, I need help," which is scary. I hate that for anybody, but
yeah, it's sad to see, especially
serious.
because what Sam Darnold had to go through, where he was seeing ghosts on the sidelines last season. Everson Griffin is seeing them in his house, and this is a dangerous situation for Everson Griffin. Hopefully, he comes out alive. Supposedly, he's out of the house now after hours of the police trying to get him out of the house. But I think he has shot the ghosts. He's defeated them, and he's out of the house now. And he'll be back in 2 weeks because the NFL doesn't care about the
player
issues.
safety, the mental health aspect, and
unless you're Calvin Ridley, who
his agent,
sits out.
Griffin's agent replied 2 hours later, "Are you okay? How can I help?" No reply. An hour and 10 minutes later, "Are you safe?" Then he replies,
5 hours from the first text.
Yeah.
They're still
then
trying
he
to kill him.
replies, "Help, please."
They've been in his
Hopefully
house for
he's
5
okay.
hours and they haven't found his bedroom. So
It's not a drug at that point.
no,
Yeah, he's not on. So,
maybe
I
they
don't
can
know.
last 24 hours.
I'm sure we'll see something about concussions come up in about a week or so. The Rams will play against the Packers. We did speak on that game, so we'll pass on that one. And the Ravens will host the Cleveland Browns. Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite. Browns are in trouble right now. Baker Mayfield has struggled as of late. Betting line says Ravens by 3.5. Ravens beat the Browns last 47-42 last year in Cleveland. I don't know. Let's swap it up and let's let you pick this one, Spence.
The Ravens are going to win this game. I mean, Baker Mayfield absolutely sucks this season. 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 91.3 QB rating. I mean, the average is 100 in the league. And this is a season that he had to play good if he wants to get paid the big bucks next year. And just 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions is just not enough. I mean, Case Keenum has came in and outplayed him. So I've got the Ravens in this game by 14 points. I mean, Lamar Jackson's ability to run. I mean, their running game is actually pretty decent, even though their starting running back for the Ravens is Devontae Freeman from the Falcons
decent,
Super
man.
Bowl run. Yeah, so I think the Ravens are going to win this game by at least 10 plus.
I think the deal with Devontae Freeman is that he realized what was happening in Atlanta and he had to get out of there quick.
Yeah,
And he knew that when he missed the
on
block.
purpose.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously,
And then he went to the Ravens 3 years later. He's a top
decent,
20 back.
yeah. No,
Top 25.
he's decent. He gets the ball a lot. That's why.
Okay, fair enough. He does. And obviously we talked about Baker Mayfield, quarterback for the Browns. He recently said that his shoulder injury, along with his heel and knee injuries, playing through that pain and that issue, has become his new normal. So
Yeah, he should just sit down, honestly.
realistically, he should. And I was listening to a show earlier this week, and they said that if anything, he's hurt his value. He's hurt his paycheck opportunity. He should have laid down, sat out these last 5 weeks on the bench, recuperated, gotten healthy, went on a positive streak where he put up big numbers. Instead, he hurt his value, hurt his numbers, hurt his team, more importantly.
At this point, if he has a bad season next year, his career path is the exact same as Case Keenum. They're the same.
Yeah,
If
great
he
point.
has a bad season, he's done.
Great point. We'll cap off our NFL. Well, let me make my prediction. 3.5-point favorite Ravens.
That should be a lot higher.
Yeah,
honestly.
3.5 is, and they're at home. And Lamar Jackson is coming off an illness, so he wants to play this game more than ever. This is the equivalent to Lamar's Super Bowl, coming off an illness. If you guys saw him kind of hobble through the tunnel the other night before the game, it looked as if I texted him, "Hey, Lamar, you're sick. At least play like you're sick, walk like you're sick." And he did. He was hobbling. It looked like he had been to the restroom probably 25 times in a day. So we'll wrap up our NFL pick'em of the week with our Monday Night Football game. It's a barn burner. The 3-7 Seattle Seahawks travel to Washington to take on the 4-6 Washington football team. Get this, Washington football team, a 1-point favorite. The way Seattle's played, the way Washington has played, I'm not surprised that Washington doesn't have a bigger spread, maybe a 3.5-point favorite, because Seattle is struggling, even with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, the whole 9 yards, Russell Wilson struggling. That offensive line is atrocious, and I really like Taylor Heineke of the Washington football team. At this rate, he looks to be a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I would rather pay Heineke over Mayfield, 100%.
Yeah, I'm excited for this Monday Night Football game just because I can go to sleep early. I don't have to stay up on Monday night. What
quarter do you plan? What quarter do you think you fall asleep?
I'll turn it off after the first quarter. I mean, Washington's going to win this game against Seattle. Russell Wilson has been awful since coming back from the hardest comeback path of a finger injury his personal doctor has ever seen. I'm sure he didn't write that himself. So
he also
just trying
said,
to give him an excuse, but I've got Washington in this game by 10.
That's about right. That's what I would go with. Wilson's doctor also said that he was working out, rehabbing 17 hours a day, 17, 18 hours.
25 hours a day, actually. One over the
Yeah, right, yeah.
time.
How do you do that with a finger? Even while you're asleep, you still got this little... Maybe there's a device out there that he's able to use, and we can talk with Dr. Jacob Sturt right here on the podcast in the coming weeks about that, because I think that would be a great topic to talk about. But that's talking about a few weeks down the road. We talked about Joseph Mancuso joining us right here on the Chris Mathis podcast, Division I quarterback with hopes of playing in the NFL. And next week, shooting for early next week, we'll have a Division II assistant soccer coach who helped coach a undefeated program at Pfeiffer University, 25-0, won the national championship. Coach Abdil Reed, right here on the Chris Mathis podcast. No longer a coach now. He is a personal trainer, but he was the assistant coach of a team that went 25-0, won the national championship back in 2015. Division II soccer level, unreal stuff. He's going to be a lot of fun to work with. He's got 3 or 4 guys that currently play pro soccer. And when I say pro, maybe 1 or 2 of those guys are playing, like a so-called minor league, but there's one guy playing big-time ball that Abdil had a shot to coach. So we'll talk with him right here on the podcast next week. Don't miss it. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, TCM_pod. Spence, any final thoughts, any final plugs here on Thanksgiving regarding what's to come in the future, or about football, or most underrated snack on Thanksgiving that you want to plug?
I think you should eat during the Chicago-Detroit game, fall asleep during the Raiders-Dallas game, and not wake up until the morning time after the Buffalo-New Orleans game, because those 3 games are going to be bad.
And then enjoy your Friday back at work.
Yeah.
Try to muster through that pain and that agony. Again, thank you guys for joining me here on the Chris Mathis podcast. As for Spencer Mathis and Chris Mathis, we'll check you guys out, and I'll talk with you guys next week right here on the pod.
Thank you so much, guys.